So in retrospect, this is one of those things where I'm glad I figured it out when I did, because yeah, sure, having an unhealthy obsession with money pays off if you play your cards right, you have a plan, and then you end up leaving that rut with a lot more money than you normally would have had otherwise. I had a problem on a deeper level where I was basing my entire self-worth off of my financial status, and that is something I highly don't recommend people do. It kind of twists your viewpoint on really what matters in life, and you compare yourself to others in a very unhealthy degree, because no matter how successful you are, there's always going to be one dude that makes it way farther than you can. I mean, look at Vitalik, for instance, the creator of Ethereum. Now, that guy, he's the only self-made billionaire in his 20s, right? And that'll, like, pretty much kill anyone's ambition right there. Like, how do you even achieve that? He has the #1 spot. So, every time I reach a new point, or a new milestone, I should say, with my financial status, I would convince myself, okay, just, like, one more, and that's what I need, and I'll be good. I don't need to make any more money or anything like that. However, it only increased my cravings for more. And one thing my dad told me forever ago, but I realized was true, is that it's never just gonna go away. Like, enough is never enough kind of deal, right? And I didn't realize I had this for as long as I did, because I took therapy and I ended up getting depressed as a result for a long time. And what encouraged me to actually seek out help and kind of tackle this issue was my friends reaching out to me. And it's one of those situations where having a bunch of friends really helps. Because more and more were growing increasingly concerned and could see I was just not happy doing what I was doing. And in my previous YouTube videos, I was trying to live off of only making money through cryptocurrency. And I was doing very well, it paid off, and I'm glad I did it, but I realized for years and years, thanks to my therapist, that I was trying to prove a point to the world. Because I guess I never got too much validation when I was younger, and Jesus fucking Christ, Luke. I guess I was trying to basically incorporate that into my self-image, and just start making as much money as I could so I could reach this version of me in my head that was pretty much this fake destination, I suppose, if that makes any sense. Like, this wasn't what I truly wanted in life, you know? And I didn't realize that until I really just didn't have much meaning in my life for a minute. I was living relatively passively off of some crypto platforms I invested in. Most notably, if you've seen my videos, BetFury is one of them. And during this whole time, it was doing very well. And I was also getting referrals and trying to make money through those means. And while I was focusing on those topics, I kind of realized I wasn't as passionate about them as I really was. And the more I kind of forced myself to make videos around those topics, it just wasn't something I looked forward to doing. Making videos and focusing on crypto and just wanting to start a business and be self-employed and have this dream in your head that's more romanticized than realistic just didn't make me happy. And honestly, I wasn't realizing for a while how unhappy that was making me. And that's kind of why I decided to sell a lot of my holdings in the past, and then once I kind of made it to a certain point financially, just say fuck it, like something needs to change, there's a problem, and it needs fixing. And my solution was to create a secondary checking account and just use it for only spending money, stack up certain paychecks, and yeah, the only purpose of that account was to spend it for my own enjoyment. And it worked. It's good. But now I just don't really care all too much about it, because I'm kind of like, I mean, yeah, I have my savings account for a reason, and as long as you do, I mean, it is what it is. I feel like there's a huge difference in terms of being frugal and just being unhealthy with your money, because I tend to be a very frugal person, but I kind of just stopped caring for a while, because I've always been alright. I've never really been in like a super dire situation where I needed to make a lot of money. I mean, I've gotten kind of like financially nuked in the past, especially recently where my car broke down on me and I decided to buy a motorcycle right before that happened to treat myself. So it was a lot of money kind of like went down the drain, but that's okay because that's life, you know? It doesn't really matter. And now I'm like focusing on my overall enjoyment of money, because there's really no point in focusing on money, really, because at the end of the day, you could lose everything tomorrow, and then what? What about all those years you spent only focusing on money, and then now they were sent down the drain because you got to do it again? I mean, you're not going to get any of your life's favorite moments back, really. So, you know, time is finite, and it's one of those existential concepts that maybe just realize there's no point. There's no point. Just have fun, you know? But don't be reckless about it. Because I'm definitely not reckless about spending money still, because my habits and my mentality about it are still there. But, I don't know, people also start judging you too. even if you're not a self-conscious person, if the only thing you're really passionate about is business and making money, you'll attract more of those people. But it's not like talking to people of the opposite gender gets any better, or talking to most people you look up to gets any better. A lot of people don't really care, because, you know, it's not business class. You're there to hang out with people. You're there to socialize, and I was kind of out of it for a lot of these events. And even when it came to going on dates or meeting new girls, I would constantly just be like, oh, I could be at home, when in reality I'm here not making any money. This is whatever, you know, and try to think of negative situations in my head about how it would be better if I wasn't in that moment and I could just go home. And constantly in every social situation and every date I went on, I kind of had this mentality for a little bit. And even the thought of getting into a relationship wasn't that great, just because I was like, yeah, that's gonna be a money drain too, and just all these unhealthy ideas about my image regarding money and finances. It's something I don't recommend anybody go in, because you're kind of blinded about your own ambition and dreams rather than, you know, facing reality for what it's worth. And the thing that doesn't really help is it's super toxic on YouTube, because you've got all these gurus and all these people that are just casually making an abundance of money, and then you start comparing yourself to them. But you kind of have to remember that social media is very fake, and it doesn't really matter what those people are going to, because if you compare yourself to others, you'll ultimately be depressed and somebody will one-up you. Like I said, Vitalik earlier, like, who's gonna get on his level? Realistically, nobody. Somebody would probably beat him down the line, but you just can't get past that. And then you can easily just ruin your own image if you focus on that. So it's really worth it at the end of the day to take a step back if you are constantly craving money and thinking about it. For me, the more I focus on it, the more depressed I just kind of got. And those around me that don't really have that much money aren't really that depressed. And those that, you know, were depressed with money and then eventually end up getting money still didn't feel any difference. So basically what I'm getting at by saying this point is that money does not really make a difference in terms of your happiness or success. Like, it can buy you pleasure, don't get me wrong, but true success and happiness in life is not determined by your financial status. Hell, there's a certain point where it's honestly just kind of gets you disconnected from people. And of course there's the saying, or not really saying, but like the thought process of, you know, live for yourself and not other people. But the thing is, I'm also an extrovert at nature. I'm not an introvert. A lot of people think, for an introvert at least, that an extrovert's life is so easy and that, you know, you don't get tired from social situations, that you're charismatic, you've been in so many more, so people like you. But the thing is, there's no difference in how you are socially between an introvert and an extrovert. And as an extrovert, your happiness relies off of other people and being in their presence. Not in a self-conscious way, but it's just that I gain my energy from being around other people. I gain my energy in being around crowds, and that's when I feel like I'm truly living. I love my friends and my sense of community, you know? But when that's gone, that's when things start getting iffy and difficult. It's easier to fall into a bad state. And the reason why I was talking about that is because there's a huge disconnect from other people, like I was saying earlier, you know? It's like, sure, whatever, you're successful financially, but not a lot of people care about all that, like, too much, and that's not going to get you anything in particular. So I took a huge step back after taking therapy, and then realizing all of this thanks to some close friends I had who decided to sit down and talk with me, that I was like, you know what, none of this really matters. I really don't care. I'm going to casually invest and then think nothing more of it for the long term and just focus my well-being and happiness. And really, it just doesn't really matter, man. It's like, unless earning money indicates that your business is succeeding and that's what gives you happiness because you're most passionate about your business or something, that's different. But earning money for the sake of earning money and then doing nothing with it, not spending it, there's just no point. Like, I guarantee you, if I became a millionaire and then spent the rest of my 20s doing this, I would have been a millionaire who didn't spend anything, and then it would have just been pointless, you know? And I always like to think of the situation where, like, what if the economy just collapsed after you made a bunch of money? That would have been really silly, but still, that's always a possibility too. I mean, look at where we're at right now. It's pretty, like, we're in a weird state in the world right now. And sure, money might be more important, like, now than ever, but I don't know. That's just my perspective, at least. I feel like I don't really have all too much else to say. But, hey, if you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching. I feel like I'm getting better at commentating over video games and playing them, but this definitely took more attempts than you think it did to even get this far into the video. But yeah, with that being said, Thank you for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one.